So let's start. I will start with giving you an overview of the content of today's webinar about AI in HR. And I will specifically tell you about generative AI. So generative AI, those who are not so familiar with the concept, is using AI to generate content like text, images, and videos. Examples of generative AI tools are, for example, ChatGPT, which is widely used, but also Microsoft Copilot and Google Gemini have these kind of AI tools. My focus today is how to use Gen AI as an assistant in HR workflow. I also want to point out that the scope of today is fairly broad, as you can see on the content slide, and the time is obviously limited. But we will start off with the broad picture and the regulation, and cover also the common use cases for Gen AI, as well as how recruitment process looks without and with AI. Then we will move on to my real-life client case, which is a practical example how AI made a recruitment process more efficient and enhance the quality. So let's start with the big picture of the global state of AI. Here you can see a survey, or like a summary of a survey conducted by McKinsey in 2024, with a very huge amount of respondents and a broad representation of different industries, company sizes, and job roles. The survey was conducted in the professional services sector, and therefore I find that these key findings and business impacts are highly applicable and relevant also in the human resources. What I found actually really interesting is the high increase in the use of generative AI from 2023 to 2024, which has actually nearly doubled. What the results also show is that the growth in Gen AI adoption is fastest, in particular in professional services sector. Another important finding through the survey were cost reductions and revenue growth brought by the AI. This requires, however, a high volume of people using this technology in the organization, as well as, of course, the fluency with the Gen AI tools. The survey covered also generative AI-related risks and responsibilities, which are obviously a very important part when AI is concerned. As you can see, the most commonly reported risk was inaccurate or misleading information produced by generative AI. Also, concerns with data privacy or biases in training data were reported as an unfortunate risk when using generative AI. And now let's dive into the topic, which couldn't be more current and very relevant and of a great importance. That is the EU's AI Act, of course. And as the focus of the webinar is the AI in HR, I will cover the AI Act in terms of what it means for the HR. First, some basic facts. So this act entered into force August the 1st, 2024, but many key rules have applied only since February 2025. The act regulates how artificial intelligence can be used within the EU to protect fundamental rights and ensure ethical AI use. HR professionals play a central role, as many AI systems impact people directly, for example, within recruitment, performance evaluation, onboarding, or employee monitoring. Here you can see the risk classification of the AI Act, which has 4 different categories. For HR, most AI tools are under the high risk as they affect people's rights or their personal data, for example. The first risk category is unacceptable risk, which means completely banned systems. These are forbidden because they can violate fundamental rights or manipulate people. Examples of these kind of banned systems are, for example, emotion recognition in the workplace, which could be in form of monitoring facial expressions to assess performance, or even AI-based social scoring, which means rating employees based on their personal behavior or data. The second category on the slide is the high-risk category, which we are focused today. These categories have very strict rules that apply. That's basically the basis is that these systems can have a significant impact on individuals' rights or opportunities in the workplace. So that's why they need to be very tightly regulated. For example, AI tools used in recruitment, such as CV screening software or automated interview analysis, fall under this category. Also, systems that support performance evaluations, help decide promotions, or assign training opportunities fall under this high-risk category. So there are several key responsibilities for HR when using high-risk AI. There are also 4 kind of categories for this, which I'm going to tell you about. First one is that human oversight is always required. This means that final decisions cannot be made by AI alone, and human must always approve outcomes in the end. The second one has to do with transparency. So employees and candidates need to know when AI is being used. For example, in the recruitment phase, when the CVs are screened, these need to be transparent now as the AI Act is in force. The third one is proper documentation, which HR needs to take the responsibility for. So this, in practice, this means that HR needs to keep very detailed records explaining how the AI works and why it is used, and also how the risks are managed. The fourth and the last one under this high-risk category is that bias and fairness needs also, HR needs to check this regularly. So this means that AI systems need to be monitored, that they are accurate, fair, and non-discriminative. Then let's move back to this main risk category. So to the third one, which is limited risk. This means fewer requirements because these are not affecting directly people's rights or job opportunities or even other health or safety issues the same way as the higher risk systems or tools. Some examples of these limited risk tools or systems are, for example, chatbots that answer employees' questions, or in terms of HR, this could be writing assistants for HR communication powered by AI. But however, these tools must be also clearly identified as AI, and that's very important. Finally, the fourth risk category, meaning minimal risk. This means that these tools and systems can be freely used with no special rules, since there is a very little risk or no risk at all with these systems. Examples of these tools are spam filters, or, for example, AI-powered grammar checkers, and which clearly don't affect people's rights or safety in any way. So what exact responsibilities and impacts does the AI Act then mean for HR? First, I want to point out that in order the HR to be responsible for the consequences of the AI Act, it needs to be part of the management team. And the management team is then finally accountable for all legal matters of the company. So as you can see on the slide, there are 4 main points. HR is responsible for the AI Act. These are not numbered, but there are 4 bullet points, as you can see. First one is transparency. So one of the key responsibilities for HR is to ensure transparency when AI is used. Employees and candidates must always be informed if AI is part of any decision-making process, especially in areas like recruitment or performance evaluations. And as I already mentioned, people need to know, and they have the right to know, when AI tools are being used, and also how they might influence the outcomes. It's also very important to bear in mind at the final responsibility, and that the decisions must always be made by humans. AI is only the assistant. The second one is data management. HR must take the responsibility for the quality of data used in AI systems, and AI must be trained on data that is ethical, fair, and free from bias. Ensuring inclusive and representative data is important when it's part of building a trustworthy system. Third one refers to human oversight. No matter how advanced the AI system is, the human oversight is essential, as I mentioned. And HR is also, in this case, responsible for making sure that these AI tools are used in the role of an assistant. And again, people are the ones having the authority. AI literacy, so the 4th bullet point under the HR responsibilities, means that employers are required to ensure that employees who use the AI have the right skills and knowledge. This means that HR needs to provide a proper training for the staff, and also tell and teach the staff about the limitations, how to use AI effectively and ethically. And AI literacy is also part of, or you could also see and think that it's part of thinking critically, of course. Crystal, in this point, I would like to ask you a question. So based on the principles of the AI Act, how do you see the HR responsibility, let's say, in terms of AI literacy of the employees?
Yeah, thanks very much for the question. I think it really is what you said as well. HR needs to be in the decision-making power in management level, understanding also the strategy of the company, because if the organization or company decides not to employ AI, HR needs to know that in order to then decide what to do with the trainings and how to train people and what will be the messages that will be given to the employees. There might be organizations that don't want to use AI, but people tend to use it anyways nowadays. So HR needs to know all of these things and then do the right training for the people. And at the same time, HR cannot decide on technical aspects. So those decisions have to be outside of HR. And yeah, that would be my point of view.
Yeah, thank you. And that's obviously very important and for the HR, for the employer, and also for the employees to understand their roles in the big picture. Thank you. Yeah, so then a few words about the non-compliance of AI Act. So as you can see, the financial penalties are quite heavy for not complying the AI Act. So the non-compliance can lead up to 7% of a global annual turnover fines. Sorry, so it can lead up to, of course, fines, which can be up to 7% of a global annual turnover of a company, or up to 35 million euros, whichever is higher. And in this way, the important fact is kind of that they want to highlight how important it is to take their responsibilities seriously, both in a legal matter and also in an ethical matter. Finally, I want to point out that even though they are heavy fines and which can feel like a really scary thing even for some small businesses, but the AI Act is not just a legal environment, but it should and could be viewed as an opportunity. So this is a chance for HR to help to form an equal and an ethical workplace and a culture by using AI in a responsible way. After talking about fair and transparent HR and what it means under the EU AI Act, I want to tell you this very well-known case about Amazon and its AI-powered recruitment. The case highlights the unquestionable importance of human control and the role of the training data of AI systems. So Amazon was really ahead of its time as it launched its AI-powered recruitment system already in 2014. However, it turned out that there was a problem with the AI system learning only from the historical data. And this historical data consisted only of CVs of white male candidates. And all the CVs with the word women, like women college, so they were automatically out of the scope. The outcome was that obviously the system was biased against female candidates, and especially for technical roles. Well, Amazon, they tried to fix the problem, and they did some adjustments in terms of its training data and algorithms being used, but unfortunately there was some technical issues sort of in the term recruitment tool. And therefore, this system was completely abandoned in 2018. The key takeaways I would say and bring up from this case are that AI bias can emerge from biased training data, and therefore the importance of the training data is the core for everything. And of course, that human oversight needs to be there throughout the whole HR process, and especially in recruitment. But I also want to turn it into a positive case and a learning experience. So what we can learn about this case is, of course, that mistakes happen, and Amazon took responsibility to solve the problem. And even though it couldn't, it took some time to solve it. They made the final decision then to abandon the system, which means that, however, today you can see that the workforce of Amazon is very diverse. So the problem was fully fixed. So after telling you about generative AI in a global context, the implications of the AI Act in the HR field, and the case Amazon, which the teaching example, I'm very excited to present my real-life case, a real-life client case at the well-known Finnish recruitment services company Eila Kaisla. So Eila Kaisla is a well-established recruitment services company with a long, steady history in Finland. They already have, the AI is a strategic focus for Eila Kaisla. And before my project started, they already had integrated generative AI into their system, and they used Microsoft Copilot as their tool. The starting point before initiating my project was that roughly 20% of the recruitment consultants used generative AI regularly as part of their work, and around 50% only a few times a week. But however, all recruiters had tried it, at least to some extent. But there was a huge variation between these recruiters' skills and competencies. So the purpose of the project was to measure the level of Gen AI usage in recruitment process, and thereafter I provided coaching and training to improve the skills of recruiters. And in the end of the project, I redid the measurement to find out the current fluency and skill set of the employees in terms of AI. The aim for the project was strongly that AI would be a daily tool for all recruiters. I carried out 2 quantitative surveys to measure the level of the AI usage. One of them was done in the beginning of the project, and the second one in the very end after my coaching session. The surveys measured the general attitudes toward Gen AI and the fluency of using it. So the results of the first survey was the basis how I then tailor the coaching, and also what the recruitment consultants preferred as a type of coaching. And then we ended up to this coaching with hands-on exercises, which turn out to be very efficient. And these coaching was mainly about prompting and how to use generative AI in practice, for example, to draft or to create a job advertisement, a candidate profile, and to understand how it also improves and streamlines the interview process. So what is then Gen AI most commonly used for? Harvard Business Review has listed 5 most common use cases of Gen AI across various industries. And this pyramid illustrates the listing with the most common purpose being on the top. And as this webinar is about AI in HR, and my client project also happened to be within the HR or more specifically in the recruitment services sector, I will apply the use cases, the examples I will give you within the recruitment sector. At this point, I also want to highlight that my client Eila Kaisla operates in recruitment consultancy, and therefore the examples that I will give you do not cover in-house recruiting. However, there are many similar elements or even the same stages, but still there are also some differences. And in recruitment consultancy, the recruitments are like their daily business, so they are executed like they execute a lot of these cases on a daily basis, whereas in-house recruitment obviously is more like every now and then, or depending, of course, on the business operations, but the amount, the volumes are not the same. So starting from the top of the pyramid, or actually, I want to point out that the content creation and editing is absolutely the most popular area to use generative AI within recruitment. So this is widely used, for example, for creating job advertisements and candidate profiles. And then again, another probably less expected purpose of using Gen AI in recruitment is at the very bottom of the pyramid. So research and analysis. And especially recruitment consultants, as they work on assignments to find the best possible employee for their client, they need to research the markets a lot, different companies, do salary benchmarking, market and talent mapping, or creating industry and trends report. So that's why this purpose or this the tool in this context is very popular and very also very important. Recruitment is a heavy and a time-consuming process, and AI significantly streamlines and enhances quality of both recruitment consulting and as well as in-house recruiting as well. And this slide shows the time allocation of each stage of a recruitment process without the use of AI. And I think this is really interesting and important illustration because it shows how much time the different stages actually take. And in terms of recruitment consultancy, where the cases are several, and so these stages will multiply and they will add up. You can say that then the total time for for one applicant, or if you take 10 applicants per day, it's a huge amount of time. But so you could say, or even without question, the AI has a huge benefit to a recruiter's work. I like to read a quote I selected for this slide, which is at the top of the slide. AI isn't here to replace recruiters, it's here to amplify their impact. And this is a golden rule to keep in mind, as the role of AI is definitely being an assistant or a coaching partner. It's not here to take your job, or it's only can change the focus of how the work is done, or the process, and by bringing a huge benefit. And the human roles, then again, I want to point out that the human roles remains very critical, and as well as AI literacy is become more and more essential, or is already essential, of course, in all AI powered processes. Well, as the slide shows, the interviewing is definitely the most time-consuming process. Just a second. Crystal, does it show? Sorry to interrupt. Is it okay? Just a second.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just leave. It's good.
Is it still okay?
Yeah, it's fine. No worries.
Okay. Yeah, good. Because there are sometimes some technical small technical issues. Okay. So yeah. So as you can see, the interviewing takes most time from the recruiter's time of the recruitment process. And but at the same time, this stage should be the most important one. And thereby, the best use of AI in the interviewing stage, it's this, for example, recording and transcribing feature. So basically, this means that the interviewer slash the recruiter can minimize the time by taking minimize the time of taking notes and fully be present in the interaction. And at the same time, the AI also enables a summary of the notes, or the fully the recording, and this summary can then again be used for when creating a candidate profile. So this really makes the process more faster. It makes it faster and smarter and more efficient. Another very useful purpose for using AI in the recruitment process is creating job advertisements and candidate profiles, as I already mentioned. And this can be used, for example, by feeding the existing job templates and notes from the client meeting for the AI, and based on these, ask them to create an updated job posting. And so it's there's a clear time saving with this kind of change in the process. But the bottom line is that it's not only streamlines the process, but also hugely enhances the candidate experience and the employer branding at the same time, I would say. So after that, I demonstrated and highlighted the benefits of AI-powered recruitment process. Let's move back to the client case. So what were then the outcomes after integrating, or the integration was already there with the AI, but systematizing the AI properly into the recruitment process. So to systematize and strengthen the use of AI in my client organization, I developed and held a coaching session with hands-on exercises tailored for these recruiters. And the topic of the coaching session was effective prompting in creating a job advertisement, and to highlight the importance of prompting, which means giving clear and accurate instructions to the AI. I want to tell you how the recruiters learn to use the Gen AI to its full potential. What was really important was to open up the logic and the principles of effective prompting. What I found out, it was very useful when we break down the text and use trial and error approach when trying to when giving the instructions for the AI. And then you can also use subheadings which are very important if longer text needs to be created. And what we also found out with my client was to show them how to take advantage of existing templates like job advertisements or candidate profiles, and then by providing them to the AI. And this saved a lot of time from them, as the amount of manual work was reduced significantly. And as my second survey in the end of the client project showed, the biggest changes were seen in confidence and fluency in using AI. And the team grew more self-assured, and they had more courage in using generative AI. Another outcome to highlight is definitely the extremely positive attitude among the recruiters towards a new technology. This can be described as the digital mindset, which was crucial for the recruiters' willingness to learn new technologies. And the client coach at the end of the slide reflects that AI helps recruiters focus on what they do best. So it's not just a tool, but it helps understanding people, making thoughtful decisions. The fourth one, employer branding, one of the outcomes, also got a real boost through the coaching and after the surveys. AI-powered interviews enhance the candidate experience and making interactions more engaging. By using AI in creating job advertisements and candidate profiles, the process not only got faster and smarter, but clearly also enhanced the candidate experience and the quality. Therefore, I think it's needless to say that AI truly transformed my client's recruitment process. Then what about the long-term benefits? Well, I would dare to say that my project for Eila Kaisla laid the basis to gain long-term benefits from the AI. So first of all, time savings are obvious as processes got smoother and faster. And my survey with the client also showed that the recruiters are eager to use the transcription feature of Microsoft Teams, part of Microsoft Copilot, and then which will definitely improve the quality of the recruitment process and the candidate experience in the long run. The recruiters clearly also felt also clearly more fluent about using AI in the recruitment process after my coaching session. And I think this shows the importance of upskilling the employees, which have definitely long-term benefits. Last but not least, cost benefits and revenue growth are, without with one of the most important targets with the implementation of right use of AI. And I believe with this strong digital mindset in place and a well-thought AI strategy that my client already had in place, my client Eila Kaisla will definitely achieve this goal. Finally, I want to share you 3 key tips of what makes an organization to succeed when people and AI are combined. First, digital mindset is very necessary, as I talked about, and also and I would say that it's all about open-minded and a positive and being positive towards a new transformation. Second, invest in people. So upskilling the employees gives a huge payback in the long run. And it's extremely important that the employees feel confident with the new ways of working and that there is enough support in the organization available. Third, courage and curiosity. As demonstrated with my clients, so courage and curiosity are the main ingredients in transforming the way of working and to achieve long-term competitive advantages through AI. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva. So we have done now with the 45 minutes, but there's still some questions that have come in. So maybe Eva can still answer for some of our questions.
Sure.
There were some questions about Eva and pricing and all of that. Please contact her directly. I do not get involved with those questions. Maybe Eva, I'll let you breathe for a second. There came also a question about Codepresso and what is the view of Codepressos on AI. One word, responsibility. So all of the processes on Codepresso, they are automated as much as possible. Codepresso does use AI, but there's always human who is checking the AI results. So very responsible in that sense. Then there is one question maybe you can answer to this one. What AI tools can I use risk-free, Eva?
Well, in terms of generative AI, as we talked about during this webinar, there are risk-free generative AI tools provided for enterprises by Microsoft, Google, and ChatGPT, as at least what they say. So these enterprise versions for Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, enterprise version, and Google Gemini, it means that the input data only stays within the enterprise environment and it's not used for any training purposes. But whereas, for example, this individual version or of ChatGPT, even though it's paid, they don't guarantee the data is it's safe and secure only within the environment, and therefore it can be used also for training purposes. So it's important to keep in mind.
Okay, so careful. Use AI,
Indeed.
but be responsible. Good. Another short question, AI Act, where do I find more information?
The European Commission's website is the official source to find all updates, information, and legislation concerning the AI Act. So that's definitely the go-to source.
Good. And then one last question, I think we can finish off with this one. Where do you see the most promising opportunities for AI in the future? And let's put it in the HR perspective.
Yes, of course, of course. Well, I see that there's a huge potential in learning and development sector, for instance, and also in strategic workforce planning. In terms of learning and development, it could mean AI-powered tailored learning paths for each employee. And then again, within strategic workforce planning, predictive AI tools can be used to predict the future skills gap within the workforce, and also to predict what kind of training and learning the employees might need for the future as the AI environment evolves and changes very quickly.
Great. Thanks very much. So plenty of opportunities for sure.
Yes, definitely.
I would like to thank you, Eva, very much for your time and all the preparation and every single attendee. It was lovely having you here around. Stay tuned on all the social media channels, and we continue the conversations, especially on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for being part of this webinar, and hope to see you soon again. Thanks very much. Enjoy your day or your evening.
Thank you. And thank you also for my part. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thanks very much. See you soon. Bye-bye.
See you.